Welcome to the Dice Tower, a series of video reviews about board and card games. Here are your hosts, Tom Vassell and Sam Healy.
Yeah.
Yeah? Okay.
Why?
Keep this in, because I gotta change the box again. See, now you can see the game.
I don't think that matters.
It does.
Okay.
That's me.
Today we're talking about one of the very first games that I played when I got into the Euro game invasion. I think you were with me, maybe.
Yep.
We were in Korea at the time.
It's the first time.
We had some Korean friends invite us to come play some games up in Seoul. So we took the train to Seoul.
Yeah.
Went to a board game cafe, something I didn't even know existed until that point.
That was a bus ride, it wasn't a train.
Oh, was it a bus?
Yeah.
So then we got there, and they said, let's play this game called Citadels, and I was like, all right, let's play it. And I think it was 5 minutes into the game, I said, this is awesome. I was just so impressed by a mechanic that this game introduced to me that I had never seen before, but it's in many games since, role selection.
Yeah. You're foreshadowing a lot. This is the intro.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, but we never do one of these older games. Well, we just did Bonanza, but we very rarely do one of these older games where we're not liking the game.
True.
So we don't. You'll find out if we like it.
Yeah.
The game takes place around building these buildings. You're going to have a hand at these building cards, and you're trying to build them over the course of the game. Each building is different color and also costs a certain amount of coins to build. Most of the buildings are just plain buildings. You can never build two of the same exact buildings, so I could not build both of those monasteries, for example. But other than that, you're really not restricted. You can build whatever buildings you want as long as you have the money for them. Purple buildings give you a special ability, although most of the buildings are kind of just simple and plain. And buildings can be extremely expensive to build, where they cost quite a few coins, like this one here, or they can be extremely cheap, like the watchtower there. The game revolves around these character cards. These are numbered from 1 to 8, and they each have a special ability associated with them. One player is going to have this crown token each turn, and that player is going to shuffle these cards and take one of them out of the game, and then possibly, or out of the round, and then possibly take one or two more cards out of the round, depending on how many players are in the game. The one that's always taken out is kept face down. The other ones that are taken out are shown for everybody. But if you're playing with a full complement of 7 or 6, you're only taking out this one card. Then the person with the crown will look at the remaining cards, and he is going to pick one of them. He says, aha, I would like to be the merchant. He passes it to the next person who says, aha, I would like to be the thief, etc., etc. Now, if you're playing with a 7-player game, when it comes to the last person, they also will take the face-down card that was thrown aside, and they will pick between those two. So they will at least have some sort of choice. Now, after everyone has picked their cards, and they will have started with some coins. They'll start with some of these building cards in their hands, and they have one face-down roll card in front of them. Then whoever has the crown will say, number 1. And if anybody has the number 1 card, the assassin card, that person will turn that card face up and do it. They will take their turn after they are finished with the assassin card. Each player on their turn can take one action, which means they can take 2 gold from the bank, or they can draw 2 building cards off the top of the deck and keep one of them. Then they are allowed to build 1 building if they can pay for it. And they can also use the power on their card. And that's it. Then the person with the crown will say number 2, and then number 2 will do the same thing. If for some reason a number is called that no one has that character, or that character is dead, that person doesn't go, and we skip to the next number. The assassin will pick another player, or not, another character, and announce that character's dead. So he can say, the king is dead. Now, whoever owns the king needs to be quiet and not get like, oh, and collapse weeping on the table. But that's what happens. So when that person, if someone has picked the king, then that person doesn't get to take a turn. The thief also picks a character and they will steal from that character. They can't steal from the assassin, but when that person goes, let's say the thief says, I'm stealing from the bishop. When it's the bishop's turn, the thief will take all the gold that the bishop has before the bishop goes. The magician can trade their cards with another player, or they can discard as many cards as they want and draw new ones. The king, whoever picks the king, gets the crown token. That means you get to pick first next turn. And he also gets 1 coin for every gold district that they have in their city. The merchant gets a gold coin for every green district that they have. And when they take any action, they get an extra gold. So they can take 3 gold from the middle, or they can take a card and a gold. The architect, after he takes an action, he gets the 2 extra cards, and he can build up to 3 things. You have a bunch of small buildings you want to build quickly, the architect is your man. The warlord gets a gold for every red military district in your city. He can also destroy someone else's building. He has to pay part of the cost of that building to destroy it. And then the bishop. You thought I skipped number 5, but I did not. He gets 1 for every blue building. Also, if you own a bishop, you are safe from the warlord destroying your buildings. And so players are trying to pick different cards. Let's say you want to go first. Well, you want to pick the king, but you might be afraid that the assassin is going to kill the king. You're never sure of this. To add to this, if you do not like these initial rolls, there are other rolls that you can substitute. Even a number 9, so you can play an 8-player game. But there are different rolls that you can add to the game in place of these rolls. You would pick one of the number 5s. Instead of the assassin, for example, you could use the witch. Instead of using the king, you can use the emperor. Instead of using the architect, you could use the navigator. So you can switch these out at your choice, and the game actually comes with little tokens that you can use as randomizers if you want. The game will continue till one person has built 8 districts. That person is going to get 4 points for having done that first. Everyone will get to finish out that final turn, and anybody else who has built 8 districts will also get 2 points. And then people will get bonus points if they built 1 of each type of district, 3 bonus points for that. And then districts are worth points equal to the cost of that district, although a couple buildings are worth more than their original cost was. Whoever has the most points is the winner. There's a few variants where you can play only to 7 buildings instead of 8. There's also a fairly in-depth variant in the rules on how to play with 2 players. Okay, now we tell you if we like it or not.
You already did.
Well, here's the deal, though. This past week, or actually right now, I'm making my top 10 list of 7-player games. And so I'm going through different 7-player games, and when I do my research, Citadels keeps popping to the top of the list. But this is not on that list, not even close. I actually have gotten very tired of playing Citadels with more than 5. I'm a big
long game when you go over there.
And instead of building 8 buildings, I almost always say the first person to build 7 ends the game. On the Dice Tower, we recently had a Tale of Horror where a guy talked about how they played Citadels for 6 straight hours. That's about 5 hours too long. Even an hour seems getting kind of long for Citadel's
incredible.
game.
What did they do? Break for like a 3-hour lunch?
Oh, well, you have to listen to the show to hear about that. It's but Citadels is a game I think it's best with 5 because you have a lot of people picking different roles, but it's not too many to lengthen the game out.
Yeah.
But you actually like it with the 2-player variant.
Exactly. Used to play it with 2 players. My wife and I used to play it all the time. I mean, as 2 players, and we had a lot of fun with it. I don't know. He's the weirdo.
The role selection of this game is the biggest thing to me. Some people don't like the fact that if you assassinate someone, they're out of the game. Assassinate someone. To me, that's one of my favorite parts of the game. I've played with people before and they get frustrated. They say, no matter what character role I pick, so I get killed every turn. Then I say, well, you need to pick one then that the person who assassinates isn't going to assassinate. I mean, I think that's a fair thing to do. For example, if you're always trying to go first and keep taking the king, you're probably going to die.
Because people know you're going to take the king, so they'll say, okay, I'm going to assassinate the king.
So I like that aspect. I like trying to figure out the roles that other people have taken, especially in the end game when some roles are going to help some people a whole lot more than others. But they won't take those roles because they know, and then I know that you know that, and then you know that I know that the wine in front of me.
It's an intricate web that's weaved.
So, the role selection for me is what I like most about the game. What about you?
That was,
of course, that's like half the game, so I can't. That's kind of cheesy.
That's pretty much the entire game, actually.
I like the dice in Yahtzee too.
I have to say that it is the role selection aspect of the game that back then made it stand out, made it shine. It was head and shoulders above most of the other card games that we played at that point. So it really stood out. Now, I think other games have done the role selection bit better.
Well, I think there's more of a game behind some of the others.
Right, exactly. So, I mean, they've taken what Citadel's kind of began, or rather maybe even just made popular, and they've improved upon it. So this one has lost some of its legs, in my opinion. I'd rather play Mission Red Planet. It has a very similar feel to it. It has the role selection, but there's also an area control mechanic going on, and there's a lot more interaction, I think. So I would rather play Mission Red Planet as far as role selection is concerned, but if this hits the table, I'm okay with it. I'd still play it if somebody wanted to.
One thing, I agree with Sam a lot there, in the sense that once you do the role selection, the actual building the buildings and the special powers of the buildings is really almost yawn boring. But I didn't mind because the role selection was so much fun. Now, even though I agree with Sam that like Mission Red Planet and Libertalia for a newer game do role selection better, that does not mean I'm tired of Citadels.
Right.
Exactly. I will still play it. It's not necessarily in my best games of all time. Well, I guess I'm spoiling that.
Time.
But it is one that I do enjoy playing. When we go into it, I say, okay, we're only building the 7 buildings, 5-player maximum. Let's crank this out 45 minutes to an hour.
Right.
Because that's the way I feel this game should be. This shouldn't be a lengthy, long, drawn-out game.
No, you suck the fun out of it when you draw it out.
What about in comparison to like games like Fist of Dragonstones? Of course, you don't like Fist of Dragonstones.
Ready to play this?
Well, there is some similarities between the two of them because they're both Fiduti and they're both fantasy. I compare them a lot, actually. In fact, when Bang came out, Bang was almost a competitor to Citadels for me because it had some of that same feeling with a big group. But Citadels stays pretty strong and true. This is an older box. The newer box is sleek and slim. And one of the things that keeps the game going for me is the different roles that you can switch in and out.
Yeah.
You don't always have to use the
Like 2 sets.
assassin. I wouldn't mind if they had 6 sets.
Yeah.
And you mix stuff up. And maybe there's fan-based ones.
Even, each of them has like a different flavor to it or something like that. That would be cool.
So is this relevant for today? Would you recommend it to that person watching?
That person right there, the guy, stop picking your nose. I'm just kidding. You probably aren't. Maybe you were just scratching. Awkward.
Okay.
Anyway.
Do you recommend it to
You started that, not me. I could recommend this. I do still own it. It's in my shelf. I actually have a Korean version on it. A Korean version of it, which is not bad because most of the cards don't have a whole lot of writing on it. But I can recommend it. Some of the building powers I think are overloaded. And it's the luck of the draw there. But that is what it is.
Yeah, it's all about trying to assassinate your friends, I think. Steal their money.
Play Cash and Guns then.
Yeah, true. But you know what? I still think it's a worthwhile game to try it at least. I look at it almost as a filler game. This isn't the main game of the night.
Right.
When you first play it, you think it might be that way. But like I said, fast and lean,
not.
and I'm on board with it.
Yep.
Citadels.
I'm going to give this...
Oh, we didn't get the thumbs.
Yeah, you didn't let me give thumbs on one of the last games. I was hurt.
I did not.
But
I didn't
it's okay.
know.
So you can't do thumbs on this one.
Okay.
I'm going to give this 1 glistening tower up because it does have some legs and it is still relevant today. Stop.
Sorry. I was just scratching myself.
I give this 1 glistening tower up.
Thanks so much for watching the Dice Tower videos. Find more great videos and reviews, as well as our top-rated audio podcast at Dicetower.com. You can also find the latest board game news at DicetowerNews.com. I'm Eric Summerer, and you've been watching The Dice Tower. The Dice Tower is sponsored by Fun Again Games, the world's best game source. Fun Again Games has over 5,000 games available. Check them out at funagain.com.
I forget what we were saying now.
You're at a different angle now. Throwing you off, aren't we?